Hey, it's Callan from Authentic Lifestyle Design, and today I want to talk to you about not being a victim, because being a victim is a choice. Now, the important thing is, your psychology, this is who you are up here, and what you believe in your mind is generally how you perceive reality, right? Now let's have a look at how we perceive reality if we're playing the victim card. Something happens to you, either something you could control or something you can't control, but regardless, that led to a negative outcome that has left your life a little bit worse than it was before whatever that thing was happened. Right? There's different ways to frame that. One way is to play the victim. For example, someone breaks into your house. Different ways to frame that. One way of framing that is to go, oh, poor me, someone broke into my house. Everyone feels sorry for me. And then everyone comes around and they're saying, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And you're going, yes, me too. I'm such a victim. Yes, I can't believe that happened and all this, right? But you could also go, and this is more from stoicism, if someone breaks into your house and steals your laptop or whatever, you can frame it as, well, someone stole my laptop, emotionally process that, make peace with it, understand it, go, okay, this happened, I can't control it, it's in the past now, that's what happened, now I'm going to move on with my life, and I'm not going to let that thing that happened, even if it was really negative, affect me. That's the alternative to playing the victim, right? Because you see today, so many people, and sure, life isn't fair, okay? Not everyone is born in the same place with the same resources and all this. If you're watching this video, chances are you were born in a fairly developed country. You have access to the internet. You have access to content like this. So you were probably born in a country where your needs are met. You probably live in a country where if something happened and you couldn't work, the government would look after you, right? Or your family would look after you. You probably have good family around. You probably live in a relatively stable environment. You know, your life probably isn't in danger all the time and your survival needs are probably met. Okay? Not everyone has that luxury. Some people are born into chaos, into war zones, into dangerous places, dangerous families, into crime scenes, right? And again, they can't control that. Now, what you can control is how you interpret it. So you can't control where you're born or your childhood. All that happens to you, right? And all that's in the past. If you're watching this and you're an adult, which you probably are, then all of that stuff has happened. It's all in the past. It's up to you how you interpret that now. That's what's important. For example, I'm legally blind. So I'm probably blinking a lot in this video because I've got nystagmus. That means my eyes are shaky. They're also sensitive to sunlight. I don't see colours. When things get far away, they get blurry, right? I could easily frame that in a way where I'd get depressed. I could easily frame that and go, oh, poor me, I don't have good eyes. I can't drive a car. I can't play some ball sports, and that limits me in these areas of my life. And oh, poor me, I can't do any of this. And then I rant on social media and say, oh, I wish I had eyes that worked and all this, right? And then I'd probably get a flood of comments saying, oh, you poor thing, oh, we feel for you, if you need a hand, if you need help, please reach out to us, right? And they're like, oh, they're pitying you. They're going, oh, that poor man, right? That's one way I could frame this. I could go, oh, poor me, oh no. And that could be anything. Say your legs stop working. Say you get cancer, whatever extreme you want to throw into it. You can go, oh, poor me, this happened, I'm a victim. That mentality. Or you can look at it through a stoic lens and say, well, my eyes don't work. There's nothing I can do to change that. That's just how it is. To accept it, to make peace with it, to love yourself regardless, and to move on with your life. Alright? And there's so much more power in that. And you're not asking people to pity you. You're not asking people to treat you differently based on whatever that is. You see that now with things like ADHD, which sure, it can limit you in many ways. ADHD is a real thing. But if you're saying, oh, I can't do X because of my ADHD or because of my anxiety or whatever it is, that's a limiting belief that you've just put on yourself, right? And be that true or false, you not taking action in your life because of that disability or because of that thing is just not going to help you. It's not going to get you to any meaningful place in your life. And playing the victim, you'll be pitied, right? And people will feel sorry for you for whatever negative circumstance, but that's not going to do you any good in your life. You know, if you need to heal, go talk to someone you really trust about whatever it is you're suffering from. Don't put it on social media, don't share it with the whole world, and you'll get all these comments from probably fake people that don't even care. They're just trying to look good on their own social media platform. And you've got to frame it that way. You've got to understand that playing the victim has very minimal benefits. And looking at a life through a more stoic lens, from saying, well, this happened, this is how it is, I can't control this, and it's how it is. That's a way of realizing it. Like, for example, with the current pandemic we're in now, you can play the victim and say, oh, poor me, I can't go to this party, and I can't do this, and I can't travel. And I catch myself falling into that. And then all of a sudden I snap out of it and say, okay, it is what it is. What do I do with what I have? What do I do with the resources I have right now and the people I know right now? Because, of course, if something happens, for example, you get overweight and you play the victim, you're like, oh, I'm really overweight, and all the marketing companies, it's all their fault because they market this bad food, and now I'm hooked on it and I can't stop, and all my friends aren't helping me and all this. You can make it seem like it's everyone's fault except yours. But you have the problem. You're overweight, okay? How do you frame that now? You go, okay, I'm overweight. That's a fact. What do I do to solve the problem? If there's a solution, go and solve it. But there isn't always a solution. But playing a victim, feeling sorry for yourself, being miserable all the time, is a choice, right? Being miserable and mopey about something negative that happened in your life, that is a decision you are making. And that decision will cloak your whole reality. Because if you're depressed and miserable and all these things, you know, there's a compounding effect. There's a compounding effect for good things. There's a compounding effect for bad things. So all of a sudden you'll fall into a depression. You're depressed, you're a victim, you're this and you're that. You're ranting on social media about how depressed you are and about how, you know, how you feel society doesn't treat you fairly. And maybe you're right, okay? It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, but that's the way you're interpreting it. Rather than coming from a place of power, which is I can make peace with this, or I can change this, or both, go, I can make peace with this for now, however, I'm going to change it in the future, that leaves you in a much more powerful position. And that is absolutely 100% of the time the path I would recommend going on. Because that path's going to lead to fulfillment. That path's going to lead to growth, to you becoming the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And why wouldn't you want to become that person? You know, it's easy to play the victim. It's easy to go, poor me, this, that, whatever, and to make everyone feel sorry for you. And in a way, it feels good when everyone feels sorry for you. Like, oh, I feel so happy that people feel sorry for me, but that doesn't do anything for your life. And again, if you need a rant to people that are close to you. Rant to your best friend, or a trusted family member, or someone that you can really emotionally open up to. Or go and get therapy. You know, or hire a life coach to lift you out of whatever you're in. Something like that. But don't just rant about it. Don't be one of these people that post on social media, oh, it's so unfair that this happened, I lost my license, this, that. Whatever it is. Doesn't matter. You know, I can't drive a car. If I had the option, I'd probably want to drive a car. If someone said, oh, you can drive a car tomorrow, I was like, great. Or you have 20/20 vision tomorrow. Great. Awesome. But for now, that's not a reality. Okay? And because of that reality, or traveling, it's like, oh, you can go on a trip tomorrow. Great. But the reality is I can't do that. And simply going, oh, but I'm a victim and I can't do this and I can't do this, and therefore I'm not going to let myself be happy and I'm going to be miserable, especially if it's something you can't change. Say your legs stop working, you get a limb amputated, you can't fix that. That's a kind of a forever problem. What are you going to do? You're just going to be miserable forever? Are you just going to be depressed? I hope not. Better to move through it. Better to accept whatever happened. Because life at the end of the day, like I said, it's not fair. Not every human being on this planet's given the same opportunities, right? And it's like a game of cards. So you make decisions on how you want to live, and then the universe kind of hands you cards. So you might be like, say you're a business person and you spent 10 years building your empire, working 80 plus hour weeks, and you've just hit financial freedom when you're 30, the universe can say, oh, here's terminal cancer. Oh, no, your legs are going to fall off. Oh, no, your wife's going to divorce you. Right? Things you cannot control. And the instinct is to go, oh no, my life's falling apart and this, that. Which maybe it is. Right? Maybe that whole structure you built for the last 20 years is about to collapse, and it's collapsing, right? Again, you can go, I'm a victim, this is terrible. And maybe you will, because it's some extreme circumstance, no matter how strong your mind is. Right? I know there's things that could happen that would make me really depressed. But you got to come out of that, and you got to frame it in the right way, and you've got to say, all right, well, that happened, whatever it was, no matter how bad it was, now I'm going to move through it. I'm going to make peace with it, and I'm going to look at the positive of whatever that is. So, for example, your wife divorces you, and you're really depressed, and you lose your kids, and you lose half your money in your house, and all these things, right? And you're like, oh, positives. What are the positives of this? Oh, I can go and meet the right woman that is going to fulfill me in the ways that relationship wasn't. And maybe I'll have a different relationship with my kids, or maybe now I can travel, or I can pursue a hobby I wanted to pursue, or whatever. Just to make peace with it. To not get as depressed about little things. Because overall, it's in your mind. Right? You can't control that. If you get depressed, if it's a chemical imbalance, because there's so many people that have depression that say, oh, it's a chemical imbalance, but at the same time, you look at their lives and it's pretty obvious. They're usually living in a dungeon that's their bedroom, playing games or watching movies or whatever, and taking too many bad substances and this and that. Right? I'm depressed, and they're just not doing anything with their lives. And they're like, no, I can't control it. It's a chemical imbalance. Well, chance is it's because of your life circumstances. Now, if it's not, and you are depressed and it's a genuine chemical imbalance in your mind, again, you can't control it. You were dealt that card and was like, really happy 20-year-old, let's mess that up. Here's depression. Throws you that card, depression. And you go, oh, no. You're going to play the victim now? You're going to say, I'm really depressed and I'm this, that. Or you're going to accept it, integrate it, love yourself and move on, as hard as that is. You might need a therapist, you might need medications, but you just try your best. Because what is life? Regardless of how hellish your life gets, you want to try and make it as pleasurable as possible and as fulfilling as possible. And whilst that might not be as fulfilling as someone else's, that's all in your psychology, it's all in your mind. Right? And it's not equal, so don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare your success to other people's success. Social media has ruined a lot of people in that way, where, say you're a woman and you think you're really beautiful and whatever, and then you jump on Instagram and you start comparing yourself to these models that are all photoshopped and all this, and it makes you start to feel inadequate about your own beauty. And that's a problem. If you're, a relatively successful guy working a 9 to 5 and whatever, and you got your family, and then you see a bunch of guys that are way more successful partying on yachts, doing this and that, you might feel inferior. But it doesn't matter. The human mind isn't built for that. The human mind is built to compare itself to like the 150 people around you in your tribe or whatever. It's not built for the internet. So, don't compare yourself to other people. Look at your life. What do you want your dream life to be like? Do you even care about boats and parties and like mass success and mass money? Because really that's quite shallow in itself. That's not going to be the path to happiness. That might be fun, but it's not the path to genuine fulfillment. So you've got to look at it from so many different lenses. You've got to look at life in all these different ways. And you don't want to just be a victim. You don't want to go through life feeling like things happen to you and you can't control them. You want to control as much as possible. And the most important thing you control in your life is your own psychology. Because one person can have nothing and they can be really happy. And then another person can have nothing and they can commit suicide because they're so miserable. Right? It's all about how you frame it. And being content with little. Not needing crazy things to be content. not needing other people to make you happy, being happy within yourself, not depending on other people, or being an energy vampire, right? And therefore not being a victim, being at peace with who you are now and where you are now. And if you want to change your life and make it better, go for it. Because as well, the universe can throw you bad cards and can throw you a lot of suffering, but the universe can also be nice. The universe can also throw you great cards. It's like, here you go, you've won the lottery. Here you go, you got promoted. Here you go, COVID's done now, the borders are open and there's a party over in, wherever, Borneo. Go. There's a card. There's an opportunity. There's another one. So the universe works in both ways. It can throw hardships at you. It can also throw love and great things at you. And you can't control that. And when it does, say it does throw you $1 million and it's like, here you go, here's financial independence, then simply accept the gift the universe has given you and move on with your life. Enjoy it. Live it up. And then if in a year that gift goes away, don't play the victim and get all depressed about it. Just accept it, integrate, move on. That's why being content, like what I said with the meditation video, being content with just sitting peacefully, having your survival needs met, is great. Because if that's your bar of contentment, is like the basics, then all the lavish stuff is just fun. You don't need it. You don't need heaps of money or heaps of success or whatever. You'll take it, you'll enjoy it, but you don't need it. If it went away tomorrow, you'd wake up and you'd be just fine. That's through having an abundance mentality. A mentality that the universe works in mysterious ways and it gives you good and bad stuff in your life. And stuff you frame to be good and bad. And that's how I look at it. I think that's a really peaceful way to look at it. And that's a good way to design your life. Authentic lifestyle design. Don't design a life where you're a victim. Design a life where you're in control, where you're centered, and where you're doing whatever it is you want to be doing. And if you're not doing that, then work towards it. And don't just look forward to achieving that. Enjoy all the steps. Enjoy the little paths of the journey. Enjoy every moment. And be in that moment. Leave yourself some time to think about all this stuff. So if you gain value from this, give the video a like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hope that you got something from it. It was fun to make this one too. I like talking about this kind of stuff because, especially all young men, which is my demographic here, but young women too have the same kind of problems here. And yeah, overall, get over it. Make your life amazing. Make your life the life you want to live. And don't be a victim. Destroy everything in the best ways possible. Smash everything. Enjoy. Build. Conjure your reality. Manifest your dreams. And just be awesome. Talk to you later.